Hi guys, welcome back to part 4. So last time we left off and we were finishing up question 20. We're on so I'm going to go over 20C one more time so that you guys are absolutely clear on what I was talking about. So last time we left, we talked about the thing that was going ahead and producing oxygen, and we said that it was a plant producing oxygen with photosynthesis. We left off with number C that said, okay, which organisms are providing the source of CO2 in this ecosystem? So there are two actually. We have our friend the snail, and we also have our dead leaf. So we're gonna write dead leaf. Okay, and in this dead leaf, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about the process that makes this happen, right? So for our snail, right, it goes through respiration, and in this respiration, CO2 is released. Right, and then the same thing with the dead leaf. As the leaf is dying, right, we have to make sure that we are going ahead and saying that the leaf is decomposing. And since the leaf is decomposing, right, CO2 is also released. So those are the couple of things on there. And we are almost done. Okay. So it says, for number 21, a student says plants need us because we give them CO2. We need plants because they give us oxygen and glucose. Okay, and then they go ahead and they tell us, okay, why is this statement incorrect, right? And what is our actual relationship with plants? So there are a couple of things that are going on. So first of all, we have to go ahead and we have to think about, okay, how are photosynthesis and how are cellular respiration connected to each other, right? So we can go ahead and we can look at it this way. So just to make sure that you guys can see this, I'm going to spend a little bit of time going ahead and writing out each of these equations to go ahead and we can talk about what the relationships are. So if we go ahead and if we write out our photosynthesis equation, and you guys have seen this before, so you guys should be able to go ahead and write this, but I'm going to go ahead and write it one more time for you. Right, so C6H, whoa, I almost wrote cellular respiration. Okay, so we have H2O plus CO2 plus sun energy, right? So we have energy from the sun, right? And we are going to go ahead and we're going to make C6H12O6 plus O2, right? And in cellular respiration, we do the opposite. So in cellular respiration, we go C6H12O6 plus O2, right? And we go ahead and we make H2O plus CO2 plus, in this case, we are going to have ATP, okay? So what you guys do see here is the same inputs. So the same things that we go ahead and we use that is made in photosynthesis. So this, right, is going ahead and it's going into this part right here, right? And then we are going ahead and looking at this, right? So this water and carbon dioxide in photosynthesis is a byproduct in cellular respiration. So again, if you guys don't remember what those things are, these things right here, right, on this side of the equation, so anything that is before the arrow, these are our, my bad. These are our reactants. And these things right here are our products, right? So those are the things that, these are inputs and these are our outputs. So since we have all of that, we're going to go ahead and look at this information and tell us why this information is incorrect. It's a very common misconception because as we learn and as we go through it, right, you kind of think as, oh, like, oh yeah, it's just us and blah, 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 right? But as you guys look at it, right, they ask us, why is the statement incorrect? And when I first read this, it gave me a little bit of pause and I was like, oh, I'm not too sure. Like, I kind of see it, but I kind of don't. So we have to go ahead and we're going to take a little bit of extra time on this. Okay, so why the statement is incorrect, right? If we think about photosynthesis and we think about our carbon cycle, right, much of the CO2 is actually absorbed from the atmosphere, right? So CO2 is absorbed from the atmosphere. And since it's absorbed from the atmosphere, we have to think about, okay, like since it's absorbed from the atmosphere, we put the CO2 in the atmosphere, so therefore it's us, right? And that's not necessarily true, right? Humans are a big contribution to why CO2 is in the atmosphere, but it is not the only reason, right? So humans are not the only source of CO2, right? Only source of CO2, right? So if you guys look back into your carbon cycle stuff, you guys will see that there's combustion, there is diffusion, there are all of these different processes that happen besides respiration that goes ahead and puts carbon into the atmosphere. So those are the couple of things to go ahead and to look at, right? And then they ask us, okay, so what is our relationship in plants? So if it's not that we are just in this like give and take relationship, then what exactly is it? Okay, so we have to go ahead and we have to look at this a little bit further. And we would say, okay, if our relationship is plants, we would say that in this case, right, humans provide some CO2, but plants provide all of O2, right? Because if we go ahead and we look at our notes, right, we will see that plants are the only thing that are going ahead and taking carbon dioxide into them, right? And plants are essentially providing the O2 that is in the atmosphere, right? So any oxygen is actually provided by plants, which is why plants are super important to go ahead and to have in the environment. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to get this graph done, right? It says a student places a Melodia plant in front of a lamp at different distances. The closer the light is to the plant, the more intense the light is. The student records how many oxygen bubbles she sees the plant make in a minute, and here is her data below. And it says, make a graph of this data below. So again, you guys are going through your talks, right? So this is title, this is axis or axes, this is labels, wow, and keys and scale, right? And we have to make sure that we check all of those things. So we have to go ahead and first start, we'll go ahead and we'll start by labeling our X and our Y. So this is our X, that's our Y. We have to go ahead and, so this is number of oxygen bubbles per minute. This is distance from light. So remember that we're putting whatever we are measuring on the y-axis. So if you guys don't remember, our dependent variable goes on the y. And that is that whole dry mix sort of business that we talked about, right? So this is our independent, right? This is our manipulated / changed. And it goes on the X. This is our responding / measured. And that is our dependent. And that goes on the Y. Okay, so since we are going ahead and we're measuring, right, number of oxygen bubbles, that is going to be going ahead and going on our Y. So we're going to write O2 bubbles. And we're not quite done if we just write O2 bubbles. We have to write per minute. Per minute. All right, so that would be my complete one because it has this per minute. This is our unit, okay? And then that would leave our distance from light down here. Distance